Have you ever stopped to think about what kind of leader you're becoming? Are you the kind of leader who inspires trust or demands compliance? And do people follow you because they have to or because they want to? In today's episode, I'm going to be reflecting on the powerful moments from our guests throughout November: Steve Fortunato, Jim Fielding, Kijuan Amey, and Stephanie Chung. Each brought a unique perspective on what it means to lead with heart, authenticity, and courage. And today I want to connect the dots between their wisdom and help you to reflect on how their stories can shape your own leadership journey. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Leadership Project. I'm your host, Mick Spiers. And today's going to be a solo cast where I reflect on each of our guests in November and what they taught us, connecting the dots and converting it into some reflective moments for you and some actionable insights for all of us. So let's get straight into it. Steve Fortunato spoke to us about leadership through service and storytelling. Steve reminded us that leadership starts with service. It's not about getting people to do more, it's about helping people become more. He challenged us to move from how can I get results to how can I help my team succeed? Because when my team succeeds, we all succeed. And he reminded us that connection isn't built through numbers, metrics, or KPIs. It's built through stories. Because facts informed, but stories transform. Stories move people. When you share a story about a struggle, a learning, or a vulnerability, you're not just teaching, you're inviting others to see themselves in you. So this week, ask yourself this: what story could I share that reminds my team why our work matters? Because every great leader is also a great storyteller, whether you realize it or not. Our next guest was Jim Fielding, who spoke to us about leading with purpose, courage, and empathy. Jim Fielding's episode was a masterclass in leading through change and in staying true to your values when everything else around you shifts. Having led iconic brands like Disney and The Gap, Jim has lived through disruption, reinvention, and high-stakes transformation. But his message was beautifully simple. Purpose and people always come before profit. Jim spoke about authenticity as being his superpower, how the courage to lead as his true self became the source of his strength. He reminded us that empathy isn't weakness. It's what allows us to navigate uncertainty with our people, not around them. His personal story of coming out as a gay executive in corporate America was raw, vulnerable, and deeply inspiring. It showed us that real courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in alignment with your values despite fear. So let me ask you this: are you leading from alignment or from expectation? When's the last time you showed your team that it's okay not to have all the answers? And how are you showing up with authenticity and empathy? Leadership built on authenticity and empathy outlasts any business trend because people will always remember how you made them feel. Our next guest was Kijuan Amey, or better known as Kiwi, and he spoke to us about resilience, purpose, and post-traumatic growth. Kiwi's story stopped me in my tracks. After losing his sight in a motorcycle accident, he didn't just rebuild his life, he redefined it. His quote blew me away. I may have lost my sight, but I did not lose my vision. That sentence alone could be the title of an entire leadership philosophy. Kiwi taught us that resilience isn't about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. It's choosing to turn pain into purpose. It's the courage to stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? And one of the true compelling learnings here is that trauma doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anyone. And people aren't doing things to you. It's just happening around you. And it's how you respond that makes all the difference. Kiwi also reminded us that forgiveness of others, of circumstances, even of ourselves, is what sets us free to grow. As leaders, we all face adversity. Projects fail, people leave, plans fall apart. But resilience isn't about never failing. It's about what we become because we fell. So I want to leave you with Kiwi's reflection. The story you tell yourself about your struggle determines who you become because of it. So ask yourself, what story are you telling about yourself today? And finally, we had Stephanie Chung talking to us about ally leadership and leading across difference. Stephanie's message couldn't be more relevant for the world we live in today. She reminded us that leadership is no longer about leading people who are like us. It's about learning how to lead people who aren't like us. 6 generations in the workplace, multiple cultures, multiple genders, neurodiversities and perspectives. That's not a challenge. It's our greatest opportunity. Stephanie introduced us to a simple but powerful idea. Pay attention to your attention. What you notice, what you reward, what you ignore as a leader tells your team exactly what you value. She challenged us to stop striving for harmony through sameness and instead embrace healthy conflict and diversity of thought. Draw out those ideas. Give people the platform to speak up despite any fear that they might have. Because diverse teams don't just perform better, they think better, innovate faster, and create more inclusive environments where people feel valued. And when people feel valued, they add value. As Stephanie said, allied leadership starts by intentionally creating space for every voice, especially the quiet ones. So this week, look around your next meeting and ask, whose voice isn't being heard, and how can I invite it in? So let's connect the dots of what all 4 of these amazing leaders taught us. It's the heart of leadership. From Steve Fortunato, we learnt that leadership is service. From Jim Fielding, that leadership is courage. From Kiwi, that leadership is resilience. And from Stephanie, that leadership is inclusion. But if there's one thread that runs through them all, it's this. Leadership is human. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. When you show up to serve, to listen, to adapt, and to grow, people don't just follow you, they believe in you. So here's your actionable takeaways for this week. Number 1, share a story. Tell one authentic story that connects your team back to the purpose of why your team exists. Number 2, lead with empathy. Check in with your people, not just about results, but about how they're doing. Number 3, build resilience. When something goes wrong, pause and ask, well, what now? What can I do? Don't focus on what you can't do. Focus on what you can do with what you have from where you are. And number 4, practice allied leadership. In your next meeting, intentionally amplify a voice that hasn't been heard in a while. As you finish this episode, take a moment to journal or think about these questions. What story am I telling myself about my own leadership right now? When did I last lead with empathy and vulnerability? Who around me needs to be seen, heard, and supported more? And what can I do differently this week to lead with more humanity? As we wrap up this reflection, I want to say thank you to every listener, every guest, and every leader who's been part of the journey so far. Because next week, we celebrate something truly special. Episode 300 of the Leadership Project. We've come so far together and we're just getting started. So until then, be the leader who listens, who learns, and who leads with heart. You've been listening to The Leadership Project. If today sparked an insight, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with one other person who would benefit from listening to the show. A huge thank you to Gerald Calabo for his tireless work editing every episode, and to my amazing wife, Say, who does all the heavy lifting in the background to make this show possible. None of this happens without them. Around here, we believe leadership is a practice, not a position. That people should feel seen, heard, valued, and that they matter. And that the best leaders trade ego for empathy, certainty for curiosity, and control for trust. If that resonates with you, please subscribe on YouTube and on your favourite podcast app. And if you want more, follow me on LinkedIn and explore our archives for conversations that move you from knowing to doing. Until next time, lead with curiosity, courage, and care.